We get a familiar foe, obviously, in the playoffs. Kind of what we expected, to be able to play SDSU again. So we'll start our preparation in full force this afternoon with the practice and keep moving forward. And it looks like I think it should be a heck of a game next Saturday. So I'll take questions.
It's been noticeable to you, Chris, since giving the guys some time off when they came back for practice this weekend. Has it been noticeable? Did you notice a difference in the guys in terms of how they practiced because of the time off?
Yeah, I thought we had really good energy on Saturday when we practiced. Just giving those guys, they had 4 or 5 days off. We didn't do a whole bunch Monday and Tuesday, but we got out there enough right before Thanksgiving that kept their bodies going. But no, I think there's a little more bounce in their step, and they were had good energy on Saturday, and then obviously yesterday was an off day, and then we'll go a normal full padded practice today.
Some of those guys that have been dinged up, how well do you think that they've healed over the bye?
Well, we'll find out more today of those guys practicing and stuff, but I thought Christian and Colton looked better Saturday. I thought CJ looked better Saturday. But some of the other ones we'll find out when we get a padded practice this afternoon.
How much have the Jacks changed since the first time you've seen them? Obviously, Sumner being healthy seems to be a big factor.
It's a huge factor, Dom. I mean, I think that offensively they're playing as well as anybody in our league for sure, and if not in FCS, just with his contribution of him being back and being healthy, and they have the ability now to really run it and throw it, and so it's hard to just stack the box to stop Zenner because the wide receivers and Sumner are clicking so well. And I think that was the key for them, is to get Sumner back healthy, and you can tell they've got a lot of confidence offensively.
What's it like going into this with the experience that your team has in the playoffs? A lot of these guys winning 2 national championships. What's that like as far as from a practice standpoint? Is it like having extra coaches out there?
Oh, I don't know about that. It's obviously the experience helps, but we're facing an opponent that's got a bunch of experience in the playoffs as well. So I think this is a really evenly matched game, that the team that is able to execute and not have the critical errors, the critical turnovers, will be the one that comes out on top. I really think that they're playing at a high level right now, and I think we're playing exceptionally well, and so I mean, this is going to be a 4-quarter game that the experience factor is great for us, but obviously they've got a tremendous amount of experience too, so I think that's probably a wash.
Chris, how much do you think you've changed in the last month as a football team since we saw them last?
We're probably a little bit more diverse offensively, with Carson being healthy. When I think this is the game he got nicked up in, and so I think the week off really did Carson some good. Defensively, we are what we are. Everybody kind of knows what we're going to do defensively. It's just a matter of us executing. Obviously, not having Travis will be a major factor, but we've got to overcome that, and we'll be able to put the guys in the right places to have the opportunity to do that. But I don't think we're drastically different, other than Carson being a lot better, more healthy.
You said you are what you are defensively. You guys have been successful against Zenner. You can't ignore that. You guys have shut him down more than anybody else has, especially over the last few years. Knowing that they're going to come in, they know what you're going to do. Do you expect them to throw some wrinkles in and try to get him a little bit more?
Well, they're going to try to run the football, and they're going to do what they do. And he's going to. He had a pretty good game against us, I thought, 4 or 5 weeks ago, and they did a few. They had ran a couple of wrinkles there to get him the football, but it's going to be the same deal. If we put more in the box than they can block, then they're going to use their wide receivers, and if we sit in cover 2 and play our Tampa 2, then they're going to give the ball to Zenner. We've got to be able to mix and match our coverages and our pressures, because Sumner's a smart guy. He's gonna see what our shell is. Are we a 2 high, or are we a single high, and make the appropriate calls. So that's where the execution comes into play.
Do you think this is the most dynamic, challenging SDSU NDSU matchup maybe in the last couple of years because of that diversity they offer now?
I think so. being the fact that they're healthy, at least at the quarterback position, more so than they were. That was Sumner's first game coming back, and now he's gotten 4 or 5 games under his belt. So I think it'll be a really big challenge for us defensively.
CJ back? I know we've asked you 2-3 weeks in a row.
I hope so. Jeff, I thought he was back. I really did against Youngstown, and then he tried to play and couldn't do it. So, he practiced Saturday. We didn't go real hard on Saturday, but he did run around on Saturday, and so he did practice on Saturday. He ran around, did everything that we asked him to do. So we'll find out today and tomorrow. But my hopes are that he can play.
You address a guy like Esley, and he's won 7 rings in high school titles, college titles. Is there something you like about that?
Oh yeah, he's a winner. Esley's a great competitor, and he understands the game so well. Flipping from quarterback to linebacker, he really has a great understanding of what offenses are trying to do. He has a great understanding of our defense, and with Travis down. Where there was a time where we would take Esley off the field in our nickel situations with Champ, now Esley's going to play 60, 70, 80 snaps, and he's going to help us on special teams because we've moved him into some roles on special teams. So we've got to have a great day out of Esley, but he'd want it no other way.
Do you look at those titles when you're recruiting people? Do you look at their high school records at all?
We look to see if they were successful. Not so much the titles, but we look to see if a guy's coming from a successful program. I think that's really important, that they know how to win, especially when there's adversity, and that's something that guys can learn it, from the other guys out on the field and through workouts. When times get tough, you really got to battle through, and you got to have perseverance and stuff. But you don't, as long as you don't panic. And I think that's one thing that Esley has done a tremendous job of, is just stay the course, and just keep playing your game.
And when Nick start against USD, and I know he played more reps, Northern Iowa, a couple games, and Missouri State, how much does that give confidence for you and the guys saying he's been out there? Granted, not the environment's going to be Saturday, but he's been out there and started and played.
I think that's a great benefit to Nick. I think him getting every rep with the ones, not only last week but this week, he's calling everything for us right now. If LJ needs to call something, or checks or adjustments and those things, he can. But we're putting that on Nick, and Nick is putting in extra time, and I know he's going to come in with a lot of confidence because he's played and had success. That's the good thing, is he's played, and it's not like we're putting him in there and hiding the kid. That kid's made unbelievable plays and dynamic plays, and so I know Nick's excited about the opportunity, and I'm excited to watch him.
Coach, on the day you guys had, I think, 10 players or selected all conference in some capacity. How proud are you of that in your first year, and what does that say about the program at this point?
Well, it says we've had a really good season. It says we had great success, and the thing that this is my first go around with how the all conference stuff works, and so it's other coaches, it's other sports information directors, it's other media people that are selecting our guys, not myself. So that tells me that the product that the people see out there they like, and that the guys that were rewarded were really deserving.
Chris, how do you manage? I know you talk about in playoffs and everything where the margins for error get a little bit smaller. How do you manage some of your coverage units and everything with guys that are maybe regular starters that maybe you wouldn't play a lot of special teams? Are you more apt to put some of those guys in special teams in these situations?
Yeah, we'll do that. Maybe not a wholesale change, but we'll throw a guy in here or there, whether it's Esley on punt, or, if it's Carlton on kickoff, or, Christian's on kickoff. We'll put some of those guys in. We have one punt team that we do call an elite punt team that we put all the starters that you guys have seen for the last 3 years on there in a crunch time situation where you'd have, Carlton, you'd have Kyle, you'd have Higgs, you'd have Dudge, you'd have Champ, you'd have everybody out there. you know, you got to keep guys fresh, but in the same respect, you know, one and done situation game-wise, you've got to make sure you get your best 11 out there, your freshest 11, but your best 11 as well. So you're right, everything, you know, red zone efficiencies, all those things are just magnified so much when you get to the playoffs, and that's what makes this this tournament so much fun.
You were the defensive coordinator in 2012, prepping for the Jacks 2 times in 3 weeks. Any sort of, you can look at that history that's twice now in a month, you can look back at that. I know it's different personnel, but you reflect to help for Saturday.
Yeah, we try to do that. You know, the interesting thing about 2012, it was, what was it, game 11, and then played a game, and it was like we played them back-to-back weeks almost. So, you know, you have to look at that to decide. Everybody's going to make some adjustments and some wrinkles, things that they had success against us either side of the ball. We've got to try to make sure that they don't have success on that, but they're going to try to do the same thing. I mean, it's still, you're not going to see us go to the spread option offense, and you're not going to see them do the same thing. So it still comes down to executing, but I think the things that both schools can do pre-snap are so important. That's why our crowd's got to be such a great factor this week. It is, you know, we've got to maybe confuse them a little bit, which is hard to do with a veteran quarterback pre-snap wise. They're going to do some of the same things against our offense, you know, motions and shifts and all those things that, you know, you can go back and we've looked, just like I'm sure they've looked over the last few years, our matchups against them dating back to 11, ever since I've been here, 11, 12, and 13 of the games. Where did they have success? Where did we have success? What were the changes in the game plan that we made? What were the changes that they made? But, you know, it still comes down, I think, to execution.
You know, you touched on the crowd. You know, now that you're down on the field, in charge, head coach, can you appreciate, or does it affect you at all to be in that environment? I mean, can you really appreciate what that environment creates?
I can appreciate it, yeah. Being, whether it was down as the assistant, as a D coordinator, or head coach, I mean, it's a great advantage to us when that crowd's loud and it makes it difficult for their guys to hear. I don't think it's going to affect their snap counts and those other things. They've been in here enough. Sumner's been in here enough. Zenner's been in here enough. The wideouts have been in here enough. But it's still, it creates a little bit of an advantage where, you know, our defensive line can get off on the snap of the ball just like their offensive linemen are, because it's hard to make a cadence. But that's where I think it's so important for us to be loud as we can on first and second down, and not just on third and long, so that we can use that to our advantage. Because it's you got 2 really good football teams playing in a round of 16 game. You know, you look at our league games, and we've got 2 unbelievable league games in the round of 16, and I think anybody could argue that these could be the round of 8, these could be the round of 4, because they're really good quality teams.
A lot of snow and a lot of scoring in the game on Saturday. Is that indicative of what we'll see on Saturday, or does the snow kind of make it a bit?
Gosh, I hope it doesn't snow in the Dome on Saturday. It's been difficult to watch and break down a lot of their tape of the last 3 games. They played Western Illinois in as bad a snowstorm as they played Montana State, and you couldn't see the field. It was in Brookings. Nobody could get any footing. I think that's a tremendous advantage to the offense. It was just like, as you guys watched that game, nobody could really do a great job defending anybody on kickoff return, because the kickoff guys are running down, they can't get their footing, and the kickoff return people know what their blocks are and going vertical, and that was a big advantage to whoever was returning the ball. So there are some things that the footing, I know, was a factor in a couple of those games, but in the same respect, you know, they're going to do what they do, and that's get the ball to Zenner if you're going to play a coverage where you're trying to protect the wide receivers, and if you're going to try to stack everybody up like we've done in the past, then they're going to throw the football, and we've got to be able to put pressure on the passer, and we've got to play really tight coverage.
Talking to you last week, you kind of seemed to lean towards South Dakota State. Did you guys lean a little bit of your prep that way? Did you guys kind of get a head start in that round?
Yeah, we spent an extra day on South Dakota State. You know, we spent a couple of days on Montana State because you had to, and we spent a couple of days on South Dakota State. And then as we got later in the week, we probably spent more on South Dakota State. Just, I don't know, maybe it's confidence in our league, you know, that I just South Dakota State's a really good football team, and the elements weren't going to bother them. You watch, you guys see the film of the Western Illinois game. It was as bad or worse at Western Illinois when they played them. So the elements weren't going to bother them, and Montana State's a good team, but I thought South Dakota State had a few too many weapons.
Did any of the coordinators sort of gamble a little bit by not doing the cards like he said, Pulaski did a little bit ago?
No, we had everything set for both teams, and we just had to wait a little longer. In the past we had a 1 o'clock kick, and so we'd practice at 4:30 or 5. We weren't able to practice until 7.
Five Missouri Valley teams in the last 16, and it's never happened before, I don't think. Backs up, obviously, it's more of a statement to you, backs up what you've been saying all year.
It does back it up, as well as I hope for the future it helps all the teams as well, because you're always going to have that 8-4, 7-5, or 7-4 team once we get to an 11-game schedule in the Valley, just because we're gonna beat up on each other. Plus, you always have that FBS game that you could win, you could lose. So I think it will help us moving forward in years to come to make sure that when there's a 7-4 Valley team against a 7-4. I don't care if you say Big Sky, CAA, Southland, whatever, all the good conferences, that they'll choose the Valley team because, not only that, but 2 of those 3 were won on the road.
Any of the results on Saturday surprise you? Did you pay attention to the brackets and the results?
No, I mean, I looked at the Valley games more than anything, and none of the Valley games surprised me, and so, not really.
Playoff jitters starting to set in for anyone on the team yet?
No, I think there's more playoff excitement. Everything's just that much more ramped up. I think there's a lot of excitement around our guys to, get to this point. It was a long, hard road to get to this point where we won the Missouri Valley and secured a home field advantage. So now the excitement is, okay, playoff time is here, and it's not a situation where you go lose at Northern Iowa and, okay, we still got another game and you still control your own destiny. It's over with now. I mean, you play well and you don't make mistakes and you advance. If you make mistakes, it doesn't. All these schools now are so evenly matched when you get to this 16 that if you turn the football over, and I told the defensive guys, not only if you turn the football over, but if you drop a pick. Let's be honest, a kid from Montana State dropped a pick that led South Dakota State for a touchdown. If you drop a pick, if you've got a ball laying on the ground, you don't get on it, you've got to be able to make those plays, and playmakers have to shine now.